So the young age meron na.
Meron na.
For a higher price.
Meron din.
Meron na. Pero the interesting part is, once you get, unfortunately, when you get caught up in the corporate world, which is a good world to be in, by the way, fixed salary and ano, you put the entrepreneurial side, ano, to the side, yung personality mo to the side, kasi, ano, kampante ka na eh. So that particular situation occurred, and of course I went on my professional career, but then I decided na, ano, I still, when my other company moved me to the Philippines, that's when I owned the market basically, and I was technically, although I was employed, I was still an entrepreneur because it was kind of a greenfield location for the company. So that's when the itch came back. You know, that's when the entrepreneurial itch came back.
How I'm inspired.
In Australia.
We are a community who support and help each other.
Hey, I'm Martin. This is Entrepreneur Beach Club Philippines, a community of entrepreneurs, business owners, startups, aspiring entrepreneurs, freelancers, and digital nomads, where we help connect, inspire, influence, guide, collaborate, motivate, learn, and at the same time, have fun with fellow like-minded people and build meaningful relationships. Welcome to our show. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing for more videos like this. In this episode, we're going to talk about the switch from being a corporate employee to being a successful business owner. Joining with us is our guest, Mr. Elbert Guintivano, co-founder, president, and CEO of Ground Up Business Solutions. Enjoy the show.
So my name is Elbert Guintivano. Dugong Ilonggo, Dugong Bulacan. I guess I had my 22-year journey in technology, starting out of the US. Nag-aaral naman ako dito sa Mapua, computer engineering. Computer engineering out of Intramuros. Tapos ay ano, Cardinals. After that, I went to the US to work. And then after 5 years doon naman ako sa Singapore.
Okay.
And then but I saw the advent or the progression ng technology in the region, and I felt that I needed to be a part of it. So sabi ko sa kaibigan ko si Robin Vercruz, shout out to you. I told her if there's any opportunity to come out to Asia Pacific, please let me know para at least I can contribute towards the growth. And this was back in 2001 when I did that. Tapos it was supposed to be 5 years lang sa Singapore. Tapos naging 13 years.
So, okay, before you go to US to work in a tech company, I mean, after college, you decided, or you work here pa sa Philippines to
It was interesting kasi in back in the day, in Mapua, they didn't...
And the .com
pre-.com days, you know, we didn't have, wala kaming OJT. The challenge was there's a curriculum, there's no OJT, so I did actually find my own way. I OJT'd in Western Philippine Plaza back when it was still called Western Philippine Plaza. Sa hotel, and then I did Intel. I did Intel Philippines to a certain extent. They did want to hire me on. Pero sabi ko na lang, I need to go to the US to find my way or direction. So ang ko lang din is, ang baksa ko rin is California. Pero specifically Los Angeles is where I landed. So yun lang. So that's kind of sort of where it all started, my interest in technology and of course computer engineering at the time. Let's go even way back before that, right? And I won't date when I did this. My first peso was actually earned programming the projects of my classmates. I won't tell you which thing para mahuli ako eh. But that's when I got interested in technology. I believed in the ability for technology to actually change the world.
Yes.
So sabi ko I wanted to be in computers specifically. So my first journey was in the US.
So for the past like 30 years in Singapore, you said sa USA. So one company lang yung 5 years mo sa
5 years in the US. Yeah, that company was 5 years.
Alright.
And then in 2001, I decided that there was an opportunity to move to Singapore. Knew nothing about Singapore. Had no relatives, walang kaibigan. And then I said, listen, it's an exciting region for the company. And I said, okay, I'll fly out and then we'll see how it goes. And then, so Singapore.
I think he's the type na adventurous talaga, like going to the new frontier kind
Yes.
of adventure in his life.
Yeah,
That
that
is
was
curious, no? I know for a fact, di ba, syempre, as Filipinos ako
Yeah,
before, no?
Security.
And USA, and if, sabi ko nga, no, if I'm like a little bit younger, I might, because I was in the US for 3 months last year.
Yeah.
Kung medyo I'm a little younger, I would stay longer.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm surprisingly and interesting, no? You stayed in Paris, but you never decided or you never think of, like, dito na lang ako sa US. Di ba?
Well, yeah.
Because some of the Filipinos, di ba, decided, okay, you want the US citizenship, of course, right?
Yeah.
So what, I'm parang interesting, I want to know why you decided na hindi ka na lang doon tumira, or, and di ba, okay naman yung sa US, tech company, you know.
Actually, a very good question. I think yung self-realization ko is nangyari when I became the field sales engineer for Southern California.
Okay.
So what that actually meant, without going too technical, it meant I had to work out of my apartment, and then they set up a nice little small home office in the corner of my master's bedroom.
Okay.
And then because it was the advent of digital age, I had to actually support a fair bit of my customers via online.
Okay.
So nangyari noon, there's one time na you're an OFW, you're cooking your adobo, medyo naparami yung luto ko. I didn't have to leave the house. So for 2 whole days, I was in the house, working out of my house. And I said, oh my gosh, I have to leave the house kasi baka wala na yung buong mundo. Di ba? I had to see other people eh. So I went outside, and then I said that, I went outside of the house and I said, listen, I want to get out, I want to meet people, I want to be a part of a growth kasi a very stable market for the company at the time. And then sabi ko, gusto ko a part of a growth market, and Southeast Asia was that opportunity to move here. Now, of course, coming back to Singapore, may mga nagtatanong din ako sa akin na, Elbert, babalik ka ba sa US? Sabi ko, I didn't feel that from my DNA perspective, being startup, entrepreneurial, it was aligned towards my goal to learn. So I felt that Singapore was this place I wanted to be. And again, initially, sabi ko 5 years lang eh, naging 13 years eh. Kasi you're still a part of the the growing region eh.
And the farmers in the United States, this is like the circa, may I ask, I know,
Oh my gosh.
we're almost close tayo age, pare.
Yeah.
So anong circa to?
Pare, circa... Gano'n yung dial-up nun eh.
But in the
File
tech,
not found.
there's a lot of tech, din, like Filipino, nasa tech industry din doon during that time.
Marami din.
Kumpara ngayon
Well, syempre, the de facto for California naman, maraming talagang Pilipino na nurses.
Nurses nga.
Nurses
Pero in your
talaga.
industry that time.
Very little. There's probably 2 or 3 Filipinos in the
I
company
know,
at the
yes.
time. Pero hindi gaano.
Oo.
Pero to a certain extent, the reality was medyo we had the education and it set the foundation for what we learned. But in terms of the facilities at the time, I don't think we were at par with the MITs of the world. Although Mapua Institute of Technology ako, Massachusetts sila,
Of course.
we didn't really have the best facilities. But my Filipino education laid the foundation for being able to do problem solving, maabilidad,
Yes.
nag-adjust lang tayo, flexible tayo. So that's what helped me at the time, in my opinion. Oo.
Interesting, no?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have friends in the United States, in LA. This very inspiring story kay Elbert, di ba? Okay, now, from US, jumping sa Singapore. Alright? So, straight, after US talaga, or kung bumalik ka muna ng Pilipinas, konting, okay, pukunin ko ba yung Singapore?
Well, actually,
What's the transition? How's the transition?
it's actually when I was in LA, the company, my friend, of course, Robin, moved to Australia, and I said if there's an opportunity to move to Southeast Asia Pacific, let me know what the opportunities are. And then she told me na they're starting up the office in Singapore. Would you like to be a part of it? Like I mentioned, I had no friends, no relatives in the country, and I said, okay, I'm flying. I was flying blind. I went there, and literally, I took the risk. I wanted to be a part of an exciting, growing market. I lived in a hotel, literally a hotel, because he didn't have a proper relocation plan. I lived in a hotel for 1 whole month.
Wow.
Oo.
Expensive.
Oo, ba? And I was very conscious of the company's money. Naglalaba nga ako sa bathtub eh. Tapos dun sa balcony yung sampayan ko na lang eh. Pero yun nga, moving to Singapore, they moved me straight from US to Singapore. And then there's a funny story around that kasi I inherited my couch from my brother-in-law. This is medyo lihis, pero I inherited my couch from my brother-in-law, who was soon to be my brother-in-law. It's a beautiful IKEA $100 couch. That couch has traveled from LA to Singapore, changed the upholstery 3 times, more than the cost of the couch per change, and then it's here. It's still here. It's still here in the
It's
house.
something,
Oh, so comfortable. But that's kind of sort of my growth, my kind of. My first chair from my first job is in my house today, in my home office, and it's still there.
We would love to see that chair.
Yeah, one of these.
Pero di ba mamaya pagka-ikot natin sa co-working space ni Elbert, no? And we see the chair.
The chair. We'll send the chair. We'll post the chair.
The nomadic
The
chair.
nomadic chairs
It's like a
and
thinking
sofas.
chair.
Very puwerte kasi it changed na. It's the upholstery and everything. So it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's like you who went through all these journeys and changed and gained new skills and everything.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it's awesome.
So, but in Singapore, you know, while you work in a tech company, have you ever thought about, you know, that time yung being an entrepreneur, na-entertain mo na ba like na, you know what, gusto ko nang, ayoko na to, or wala lang, you just focus that time? What made you think, or which country you think about entrepreneurship or enter to
Wow,
being an
entrepreneurship.
entrepreneur?
So my entrepreneurship journey started when I was actually 11 years old.
Ah.
So, kasi I was living in San Diego at the time, and then ang uso nun is marbles, Holland.
Okay.
So that one, Holland, you hit the marbles, it goes out of the circle, it's your marble.
Yeah.
Of course,
Wait. To those millennials, Holland
is
kami,
marbles.
The marbles.
Marbles.
Shift late.
The marbles.
Application.
Bro, naalala mo ba Holland? O hindi.
Ano?
Alala mo, Daddy.
Yes.
Alright, okay. So just to make it clear,
Marbles.
marbles, so nilalaro namin
Play in the dirt.
In the dirt, exactly, the dirt. And then you make a circle, you put the marbles in the middle, you hit it out, it's your marble.
Okay, so FYI. Just a side story about the Holland.
That's right.
As you were saying, man.
Tinarget ko pare yung mga mamahalin, yung mga mahalin na marbles. When I hit it out, I would sacrifice my marble, hit the more expensive one, that one I put in my pocket, and then I sold.
So the young age meron na.
Meron na.
Selling for a higher price.
Meron din.
Meron na. Pero the interesting part is, unfortunately, when you get caught up in the corporate world, which is a good world to be in, by the way, fixed salary and you put
forget.
the entrepreneurial side, to the side, yung personality mo to the side, kasi, kampante ka na eh.
Oh.
So that particular situation occurred, and of course I went on my professional career. But then I decided na I still when my other company moved me to the Philippines, that's when I owned the market basically, and I was technically, although I was employed, I was still an entrepreneur because it was kind of a greenfield location for the company. So that's when the itch came back. That's when the entrepreneurial itch came back.
Interesting. Well, everyone has his, sometimes, we don't know it.
You don't know when it's gonna
You don't
come
know
back.
when or how to start.
When to
But
start,
when
yeah.
you enter, in this arena of entrepreneurship, meron mo, di ba, maalala mo eh. So, okay. So, after US, 5 years, man, then Singapore, 13 years, and then, as you mentioned, we were chatting, no?
Yeah.
You went back to the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
And then, you worked again? Can you tell us about, when you came back here in the Philippines?
Yeah, so it's kind of a dated, right? 2013, I had made the hard decision. So my wife and four kids were living in Singapore with me. I would like to always say they were made, born, and raised in Singapore. But once in 2013, I had made the hard decision to move my wife and kids back. So that's my OFW story. But I felt very fortunate, and I was a very good negotiator to be able to negotiate a deal which allowed me to fly back and forth between Singapore quite often, Singapore and Manila. However, of course, it was unfair to any company if I fly to Manila on a Friday, fly back to Singapore on a Sunday, and your heart and your mind is still with your family who's in Manila, di ba? So eventually, that company was very kind enough to allow me to become the country manager for that business here. So in the Philippines. So that's how I made the transition here to the Philippines. I did that Manila, Singapore for 2 years. For 2 whole years.
Especially if you have kids, it's kind of
Yeah.
challenging, no?
And my eldest is a boy. He's 14 years old. Shout out to Ethan.
Hi,
He's 14 years old, and I needed to be here for them. And I was very fortunate enough to have a Filipino upbringing din, kasi we moved here when I was 11 years old. I'll let you guys do the math on that one. But I wanted my kids to be exposed to the same type of yung respect for elders and stuff like that. So that's why I moved here.
So yeah, you moved here,
Yeah.
and then 3.5 years,
Yeah.
and then now this is the birth of. Well, so when you decided, or yung idea of putting up or opening your co-working space, this is like napag-usapan nyo na, or you think about it, or like sa stage pa lang, di ba?
Someone gave you the idea.
So what made you think or decide to open your
Why this type
co-working
of business and why here?
Okay. Well, I guess the idea was kind of an inception moment. I actually was in Palo Alto at the time, visiting, actually doing attending training, much like yourself, in Palo Alto up near San Francisco. And then my cousin, Jel, shout out to Jel. He works for Google, and he was nice enough to take me to all the different births of some of the greatest companies out there and some of the headquarters out there. He took me to Mark Zuckerberg's house, Steve Jobs' house.
And these are neighbors, ha?
These are all neighbors in the same location, luckily for me.
Hindi ko alam talaga yung mga change maker or ano. So how far, sorry, I'm curious, how far sila magkakalapit or magkakalayo?
2 to 5 minutes away from each
But
other.
you were able to get inside because your cousin knows those.
Well, we didn't know them that well.
Alright.
We were the stalkers that were outside taking pictures and selfies.
Okay.
But then he kind of progressed that conversation. He showed me the HP house, the Apple garage, na first office ng Facebook. Na-excite ako kasi he's telling me about the idea around ano tawag dito, yung venture capitalists setting up incubation houses. These are big rich tech companies buying houses and then housing probably 3 to 4 different tech companies, and then feeding them, giving them their booze, air conditioning, and swimming pools.
Like co-living still.
Co-living ang dating. Basically, co-living ang dating.
Pero nasa incubation program na sila.
Correct. Well, in my context, I can't buy houses. I don't have that kind of money.
Yes.
So I said that, and I wanted to look at the ongoing trend, and the trend was co-working spaces at the time. So this is where, when I was even in Singapore, even before coming here, I didn't know what co-working spaces was until I was a remote worker. Kasi I had to work out of other co-working spaces to get my job done. In fact, the most popular co-working spaces was a local coffee shop. Kasi they're the ones who have the plugs, they're the ones who have the internet. So I didn't know co-working existed. And then when I researched it further, I said it was quite exciting. One, get to work with cool people like yourselves. And excited people, exciting people about to change.
Mindset, wavelengths, ganon.
Correct. And they're very excited about what they want to do. So that's why co-working came up.
Yes. And then, so how many like months, years before you guys opened your co-working space? Like, ilang months yung more, diba? I heard you told us that you have a business partner, no?
Yeah.
And it's like you started the idea, or you and your friends. So
Well,
we want to know the story about your co-working space.
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting story because I was at a point or a juncture in your professional career where you have to make a good decision as to what you want to do with the rest of your working productive life, right? So it was just tama-tama. Me and 2 other business partners, shout out to Jay Guillermo and Alan Evangelista. We had, as with great big companies start, we were actually having a couple of drinks at a and we were
Kasalanan ng mga kaibigan mo.
more or less we said, why don't we start something together? And that particular idea came out in I think that was March 2018. So in 2018, we decided that let's do something together. And then in the back of my head, co-working was great. One of the other guys said, let's try a co-working space. And then we said, okay, let's try a co-working space. I did my research, understandably. Pinaka market research ko, umakyat ako sa isang freelancing website. Tinignan ko ano yung mga freelancers sa Parañaque. There's about 1,912 freelancers here in Parañaque alone. And I said, I want to service that group. Kasi I felt they were very underserviced, they're very isolated from the rest of the professional world. I want to figure out a way to actually, that's where co-working came up. And then we looked for a space, I won't name the space, we looked for a space elsewhere, and it didn't give me the same emotional connection that this location did. Once we walked in, this was all bare, and hopefully you can actually visit the space. The whole space was bare, and they were going to turn it into 6 retail outlets. And we said, no, let's just don't deal with 6 tenants, deal with 1 tenant, and that's where the birth of Ground Up came to fruition. But as we were discussing the physical space, we said there's so much other opportunity to help support and provide support and business services for freelancers that they won't typically hire, right? Like accounting services, HR services, marketing services. We said that we want to actually be a one-stop shop for this group of people, SMEs and freelancers.
And the good thing about co-working space nowadays, compared in our, like, if you go back 15, 20 years ago, that's why when I talk to the young generation, sinishare ko din na, swerte nyo. Kasi during our time, 15, 20 years ago, lagi kami may physical office so expensive. Right? So right now, you have like co-working space, Ground Up, diba? Tapos, diba, hindi ka tali agad sa monthly rental.
Correct.
1 or 6 months. Ito yung minsan na, I jokingly share to the millennials or startups, you are so lucky guys because you can set up your company without 1-year contract.
Yeah, that's really true.
And then,
the best part is you can connect and
collaboration.
Correct.
Your suppliers could be your potential co-founder. You will need to beside your desk. You know what I mean? And
it's really flexibility na. I saw the rates actually, aside from having a day rate, you also have an hourly rate, which is really great. Like for example, I want to cut down my work hours this year to 10 working hours per week. So ayoko ng 40 hours. So bakit ako magbabayad ng isang physical office for 40 hours when I only intend to work fewer hours? So which is really great for flexibility. So
you come in, you work for 100 pesos an hour. It's not an issue.
And then free flowing coffee na.
Air conditioner, very fast internet.
Yes.
Yung mga tipong ganun eh. At saka you have a certain level of professionalism in the space that allows you to conduct your business in a productive.
Like in actual coffee places where there's noise and going on, like a lot of, because coffee places naman is for chit chatting with friends and things like that. So some people actually cannot work with that going on, but with a co-working space, people are kind of more reserved and understand that others are working also. So
correct.
That's a great thing.
Correct. I mean, one guy came in here. He frantically called me at about 8:30 in the morning. Sabi niya, Elbert, pwede ako mag-co-work. I didn't know this guy, by the way. He just called me on the phone and he goes like, Elbert, pwede ako mag-co-work at 8:30 in the morning. Sabi ko, yeah, sure, why not? Come on in. We're open at 5 a.m. Come on in. Tapos sabi niya, Elbert, pwede ako mag-set up mga PC ko, sabi ko, anong gagawin mo? Kasi, then when I came to the space, eventually I came to the space and I saw him, he's actually a stock trader. Nawala siya ng kuryente sa sa condo niya eh. Walang genset. He's stock trader eh. Wala na pera. So he came in and he had that whole thing, man. Yung mga nakita mo sa mga Wolf of Wall Street, set up. It's like, uy, galing. So it to a certain extent, you can't set up your PC or your monitors in a coffee shop. So in our case, we really wanted to be able to adhere or if not service those type of people that really need something very quick.
And it's I believe in my personal point of view, this co-working space, you guys, it's you help startups and freelancers, digital nomad. Kasi you as a practitioner, right? You also go around local. Nationwide and out of the country, diba? We're looking we're looking for a space that especially video calls a client and downloads, no? And then it's not that cheap. It's not expensive. I mean, it's cheap. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
why, you know, South people.
Yeah.
Ano ba kinagaya dyan? Laguna,
We have
Cavite.
people coming in from Las Piñas,
Ah.
Muntinlupa. There's one guy coming in from, well, believe it or not, it's Bulacan, but
Bulacan.
but it's opposite the traffic area. But I think that the reality is, one of the advocacies for the space is we want to remove traffic from the metro. Whenever
Yeah.
anybody co-works, it's not like the guy from Bulacan or it's a neighborhood co-working location. The idea behind this is we don't want cars to travel into Makati, BGC, and Ortigas. We want them to work close to them. Kasi of course we know now about the work from home. I say don't work from home kasi that has its own inherited distractions. I say work near home. Na in a professional space with fast internet connection that makes you productive and you work with like-minded people as opposed to traveling so far. And we want to, once the space gets full, we actually take 92 cars off the streets of the metro, di ba? So that's what we really want to say. Now, whether it's my space or it's another person's space, go find your local co-working location and work out of there.
True. This is nice. And it's good. I think how many are you you have community of, like in your case, do you have this community of freelancing na meron ka na club ba dito or like association? Meron na kayo?
We actually partnered up with an organization called freelanceblend.ph. Shout out to Marv De Leon.
Freelance, again,
Freelance Blend PH. We hosted a group of 40 freelancers. In fact, the interesting part is 40 freelancers were from Valenzuela, they were from Las Piñas, some from Alabang, from far off, but they were very hungry for a way to collaborate with each other. Even though we can collaborate online, we know that's kind of the reality of things. But mga Pinoy, di ba? Face to face.
Once in a while, you know.
Also,
Correct.
it gets really, stuffy when you keep working inside just one space in your home.
Correct. Isolated.
Yeah.
Oo eh.
Yun kasi yung isang challenge din sa mga freelancers is your socialization. So there are some people who wish to bounce ideas off of other people. So a co-working space is a great venue for that.
Yeah.
And you know how it feels like in the US when you were working home base in your
Ayun nga mismo, I had to go out to see if the world exists. Kala ko wala na tao sa mundo.
Like you're stuck in your screen, no?
Oo,
Tama.
Fair enough, may tao pa naman. Let's go.
So may we know your future plans, like from 1 year to 2 years from now? Do you have something like brewing for your community or freelancers, other startups?
Yeah, I think fair enough. I think that first and foremost the growth potential for us. I think that as a co-working space, we do want to actually situate our spaces closer to where people need it. So if we wanted to look at our future expansion, either Nuvali or Danghari, that type area, Cavite or Laguna type thing. And we're currently actively looking for spaces at the moment in that area. That's first and foremost. Secondly, we're thinking of actually partnering with nothing set in stone. We're thinking of partnering with other locations that allows us to expand without having to build space. Meaning that the likes of condos, they have space. Condos, restaurants,
Yes.
they have space and people want to work there. But the mindset is, I go to a condo, I'm gonna go swimming or something or visit a friend. I go to a restaurant, I have to eat. Co-working can be done anywhere as long as people make the arrangements. Give them internet, strong coffee, as well as power outlets, and freelancers are good to go.
Yes.
Diba?
And since you've tried freelancing for a bit and you're here most of the time in this co-working space and you've seen freelancers in their habitat or something.
In their wild.
Can you give us tips or advice on how to grow business, increase income potential, things like that? I'm sure you've seen and success stories, and maybe you can share that with us.
Sure. Yeah, I think ang challenge lang din sa mga ibang freelancers, not very sociable tayo eh. We live in our isolation. We'll socialize with our customer and client, fair enough. However, I think that if you're in a co-working space, mga iba nga, maybe you'll show it later on. There's a business booth in the back. It's a one-seater. Yung isang freelancer na accountant siya, she came in and she said, Elbert, can I rent that space? Kasi siya isolated eh. Pwede siya magsara ng pintuan, one-seater lang siya. I think that's sayang ang opportunities mo. If you don't interact or say, so what do you do for a living? How do you know to collaborate or network with one another?
Right.
I think it's important for you when you're in a co-working space to get to know the people around you.
Yeah.
Community managers is a good way of doing it, but you shouldn't have to wait for an event to happen in order for you to talk to the person next to you. Malay mo siya yung next employer mo.
Kasi they're already right next door.
Yeah.
This is what
Yun na yun You kilala mo naman sila, you see what they eat for lunch every day. You see how much slices of pizza, whenever we serve pizza, how many slices they eat. It's
Yeah, you visit ground up, you create, collaborate, and connect, and look for Elbert.
I'm always in the
He will
space.
help us, and because Elbert he's a very good host, and
I'm also curious, what are your challenges, in stuff
Yeah.
co-working space?
Well, I think first and foremost, we had to find a location that we got emotionally attached to. Meaning that if we go into a co-working space and you can see concrete walls, and we wanted somebody to be emotionally attached when they go into our space. So that's first and foremost. Location, finding a location does it. So if we're gonna open up our second space, it's gonna have the same vibe.
Yeah.
You're working very hard, then you look above, you see grass, greenery, you go outside. That type of work-life balance.
Gives you like refreshing, mind.
Correct. So we wanted location first and foremost. Secondly, getting awareness by the freelancing community was a little bit difficult. That's why working with Marv and his group was helpful, because at least we put it out there that it existed. Even though I don't say we're very good at digital marketing, but we do our best. However, people don't know this place exists. They haven't seen it. When they come in, they see it, they fall in love with it, they'll work ongoingly. So that's a big. I didn't know digital marketing to the extent that I should have in advance of the launch of the space. Had we known that, we would have been. We're actually in a far better place, because one of the investors said, "Elbert, you need digital marketing. Ako naman numbers guy. Wala kaming budget para doon." Sabi niya, "Elbert, I'll invest the money, and then I'll give you a digital marketer for 2 months in advance of the launch." And we had 3 clients in the space prior to the launch of the space, in a far better place. So if you haven't engaged digital marketers, engage digital marketers and social media managers as well.
That's awesome.
Okay, Danny. Before I ask you.
I think that was very enlightening. So yeah, I'm happy. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
And again, Elbert, thanks so much
No problem.
for having us, Entrepreneur Beach Club Philippines here.
Yes.
Our first time, and before we, end our podcast or live, would you like to invite again our viewers to visit your co-working
Yes.
space here?
Great. Yeah. So thank you again to you guys for coming down and visiting the space. Thank you for this great impromptu interaction. I'm glad you guys had us in. Definitely, if you have some time, visit the space. We're located in ground up co-working spaces. We're available on Waze as well as Google Maps. In Worko Arcade, first floor. Visit our Facebook page, see what's going on and what we're doing out here. And hopefully we can help you become successful in what you do.
Okay, hey, lastly, I'm stupid, sorry for the word. Lastly, because my parents are OFW, right?
Yeah.
I grew up with my parents, working abroad, and coming from, as an OFW, right? And you jump into it. I believe this is important. You have tips, sa mga kaibigan natin, kapatid natin, OFW na who wanted to enter, or jump into entrepreneurship. Meron ka naman ma-share sa kanila, mamibigay na tip na bago sila mag-decide na, sinasabi ko nga, di ba? I don't know if you agree, that entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
Yeah.
But to those people, our brothers and sisters na OFW, meron ka ba mamibigay? Kasi you're the perfect person na magbigay sa kanila ng advice or tips bago sila tumalon sa, maging entrepreneur.
I think first and foremost, you don't make this decision in isolation. Kasi syempre, I was married, 4 kids, and it's not an easy conversation to have in part kasi there's inherited risks naman.
Yes.
So in context, make sure that you consult your better half before you jump into the ring. Secondly, I think that and they always say that there's always a failure story before the success story. Ako naman, I don't like failing at all. So do your due diligence. understand the market, see the interest, gauge the interest first before jumping into it.
Alright.
Even now, I think we're still learning. It's an ongoing learning process. So if you're not, hindi ka mahilig sa lifelong learning, you really need to, then entrepreneurship is not for you.
Yes.
But if you think that managing a business from afar is an easy task, I failed once. I hired somebody in country, didn't work out. He left, and then I had to fold up that shop. But when you do find that something that interests you and you're passionate about, please do pursue it. But make sure that you do it, by using a calculated risk. Has to be a calculated risk.
Not just jump right in right away without.
Yeah. Everybody says, "Oh, we jump right." That was one of my inspirations, believe it or not. When I was in Singapore, I did subscribe to the Entrepreneur magazine.
Yeah.
Actually, back in the magazine, tapos eventually lumabas sa app, and that was my inspiration. They said that one of this multi-million peso company started with 10,000 pesos. I'm like, I have 10,000 pesos in the bank. The reality is, not everybody will go from 10,000 pesos to multi-million peso in a year. Make sure that you have the financial readiness to weather the storm. Kasi there will be a storm of learning.
You have to have a backup something.
Oo, plan A, plan B, plan C. Kung pwede, may plan D pa nga eh.
So,
Plan A doesn't work, there's still B to Z.
Yeah, always be very flexible and dynamic. Don't say that this is the business I think is gonna hit, and if it doesn't hit for the first 2 years, then I'll fold up. Me, I think 6 months is a good gauge as to whether or not you're ready or your business is ready for prime time.
listen to your market and then listen what's going on.
Correct. Not a lot of people have the financial capacity to weather 2 year drought, I would say, for finances.
Okay. Before I summarize what Elbert say, okay, guys, listen, this is important. Our takeaway for today, coming from Elbert. Now, first, if you're married or a serious relationship, you need to consult your partner, right? You work as a team. Or even if you're not married, you consult the family.
Yes, that's
Because
good.
it's not
Or
that
close
easy.
friends just to have some,
Yes, because
input.
supporting and giving us advice and the truth.
I think it's also part of the mental health of an entrepreneur.
Exactly. So don't forget that. Consult your family, better half, or partner. Second, if I get it correctly, understand the market. Do the research.
Yeah.
So before you jump into entrepreneurship, that's our takeaway from Elbert. Do your research. Take your time and understand the market, right?
Right.
And number 3, of course, passion cannot be learned from the school, from anyone. It's within us. So coming from entrepreneur to another entrepreneur,
Yep.
and everyone's talking about it, you have to be passionate, right, Albert?
Yep.
And of course, passionate is not enough. You need to be of course, your
Contact.
interest and calculated risk,
Yeah.
as you say.
Yeah.
And number 4, one of our takeaway is financial forecast. Right?
Yeah.
I feel in this
To weather the
sometimes.
storm.
I'm listening to you, Albert. So yes, it's very important, financial forecast plans. As you said, kung meron ng plan A, plan B, plan C, kung may plan D ka pa, mas okay. And I know we have so many questions and marami ka pang share, but this number 5, coming from Elbert, is the flexible and dynamic.
Yes.
Alright, so guys, sana, marami kayong natutunan. Ako personally, I learned from Elbert. And Danny and
Yes.
Martin.
Definitely. This is a very interesting conversation from a digital nomad perspective for me. So thank you.
And thank you so much again.
Yeah.
Alright?
Alright, so you
Thank
guys, if you want to talk more to Sir Elbert, just visit Ground Up Working Space or check out their Facebook. It's Ground Up Business Solutions. That's their Facebook page, and then follow us on our socials also, Entrepreneur Beach Club PH.
Yeah, I'll go back to this live feed. I'll answer more than happy to
Yes.
answer any questions that you guys have.
Because we received a comment where the audio cut off a bit, so we apologize for that. But yes, Sir Elbert will be there in the comment section as well if you need anything from him.
Alright, sweet.
Yes. And hope to see you guys on the next podcast.
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.